As a Beorning, most people know that if you trade 5 points into Encouraging Strike, it will make Slash, Tear Up, and Outgoing Healing buff on you. You can look at this right now. Tier 1 5%, Tier 2 10%, and Tier 3 15%. Now, one of the problems is that if you use this skill in bear form, it'll put you back to man form. And there's actually a little trick to this if you don't want to go into man form but still use it in bear form. After switching to bear form, see that the cooldown will start on the shifting skills. As you can see on the man form, there's like a cooldown ticking around. And during that time, you're actually able to use Slash. Since the man form is on cooldown, you can use Slash in bear form without going back in to the man form. So we can try this in action. I get tier 2, I get tier 3. And now I'm gonna go ahead, wait for the cooldown to go down a bit. Just imagine in the fight, if you're like 5 seconds left, but you need to go to bear form for your biggest heals. Switching to bear form, instantly using Slash will still keep you in bear form and still give you the gear up refresh. Today's brawler tip is about the vulnerability effect. This might be a thing that's kind of hard to pick up as a new brawler. The way to proc this vulnerability effect, look in your traits in yellow line, you have the vulnerability chance, which can increase to 50% at rank 5. Let's go ahead and apply this. And the way to proc this, go down and look at your low strike. You have low strike, you have dexterous hook, and you have sinister cross. After using a low strike and then using a finisher, you will have the proc chance to proc the vulnerability effect. So we can go ahead and try to do this on this dummy. I use my low strike, then I'll use a finisher like backhand clout. Did not proc. I'll try again. Low strike. Strike towards the sky. Did not proc. Again, mighty upheaval. Finally got a proc. And as you can see, a vulnerable 3% increase incoming damage. As you can see, I just procced it again. And I'm gonna go ahead and try to reproc it. I just procced it, gonna try to reproc it to refresh the duration. As you can see, I was able to refresh by doing it again. And as you can see, the base duration of this is 15 seconds, but there is a way to increase this effect. The trait to the right of the proc chance, lasting weakness, gives another 15 seconds if you trade 3 points into this, giving this buff a total of 30-second duration. And as a side note, the yellow forset in the Hidden Horde armor will make this effect be able to tier up. The base is 3%, but if you reapply it twice, you get the 5% incoming damage buff. The burglar tip for today is about the burglar corruptions. This kind of recently got changed. Purge corruption is now part of your critical chain line. So if you do your normal skills, you will eventually get a crit, which opens up double-edged strike or gambler's advantage. After using either of those skills, you can then finally use perk corruption. 5-second cooldown, which means you can do that again and quite frequently remove corruptions. Another way to remove corruptions is your startling twist, and this is a really strong corruption removal, especially since you can do a dust and a twist for AoE removal. It also removes 3 corruptions from the target, so it's really good for example, the giant warriors in Hidden Horde. You simply apply a trick, then you use the twist. You can even animation cancel the twist and corruptions will be removed. And there's also a third option which is not intuitive at all. There's actually a crafted item called serrated knives. Now the ones that I have are Minas Ithil ones. I believe there's also Gundabad ones you can craft. Weaponsmith can craft the serrated knives, and this pretty much works like startling twist. You apply a trick on the target, then you use your serrated knives. Removes the trick, but also removes 1 corruption. It does have a 1-minute cooldown, so your purge corruption is still your most reliable removal, accompanied by the startling twist on a 20-second cooldown, but that can also be reduced by spamming startle stab. If you are a captain player, you should know by now that 2 of your main group buffs are gained from trading into blue line for the Rousing Cry damage buff and red line for the Penetrating Cry attack speed buff. You should also know that you need to use Rallying Cry after a defeat event to get the Rousing Cry damage buff, and you need to use Routing Cry after a defeat event to get the Penetrating Cry attack speed buff. Now the only ways to get the defeat event is to either kill an enemy or get a critical hit with pressing attack or devastating blow, but you can also use the cooldown known as Time of Need, and by using Time of Need I'm going to show the neat little trick that I plan on showing right now. So the trick is basically after you get a defeat event, you can use these 2 in quick succession to get both buffs up at the same time. This trick can be handy both in combat, but also if you want to start boss fight, you pop Time of Need in the beginning of the fight and get both the damage buffs up for your group immediately. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Time of Need, then I'll use a Routing Cry and Rallying Cry really quickly, boom boom, and as you can see from the top on my bar, I got both the buffs. So a handy little trick to get both the buffs up quickly. Today's champion tip is going to be about the cooldowns. As you might know, as a yellow champ you have a ton of cooldowns, and as you can see you have 6 different cooldowns that you actually can use to increase your damage, and I put them in the order that I think you should use them. The reasoning behind this is the Great Cleave has a 41-second duration, and Control Burn Fight On has a 30-second duration on their damage and crit buffs. Exchange of Blows 15 seconds, True Heroics only 12 seconds, that's why I put it last. And the Fervor Potion I put last because it's instant and has no animation. So the way that it's gonna look is like this: Great Cleave, Control Burn, Fight On, Exchange, True Heroics, Fervor Potion, and then Fight. All your buffs running and big damage. My tip for Corsair is to go to Dol Amroth and to the Burglar armor vendor, and then get the eye patch of the Seafarer. My Guardian tip is about the cooldown called Thrill of Danger, and to use this cooldown you need to be in combat. More importantly, something I just learned myself pretty recently, you need to hit targets to get the healing effect. So you have a radius of 10 meters and 7 targets. Obviously, if I use Thrill of Danger now, I get the 10-second duration effect. I'm gonna go ahead and try to outrange them and then use it. Up my charge, run far away, and you'll notice now I use my Thrill of Danger. You actually don't get the healing part, and I never knew this for the longest time. Now I do. Make sure you hit something within 10 meters for Thrill of Danger. My hunter tip is going to be a real simple one. Use the Bard's Arrow in your rotation. It can hit really hard. You get some big hits if it crits, and it also does build your focus. 30-second cooldown. Use this whenever it's up. My Lore Master tip today is going to be how to do really good CC when you do a big AoE pull. So the main idea is Bane Flare, reset, and Bane Flare again, and then finally you do Stormlore. So you do a AoE mess with Bane Flare, use your reset. When they break free of your first Bane Flare, use Bane Flare again, and when they break free from that Bane Flare, you then again do Stormlore. Now you might notice that Bane Flare has a 15-second daze, so it's really long. But typically when you're in a instance or playing in a group, you can see the 100% break chance on damage after 7 seconds. People will be hitting your targets. The Bane Flare should last 7 seconds before it breaks. So Bane Flare, 7 seconds. Reset, Bane Flare again for 7 seconds. As soon as the Bane Flare wears off, you can then use your biggest AoE stun, which is Stormlore, for some really nice AoE CC. I'm just going to show this in action. I'm going to pull all these mobs in the first part of Poglak. I have like 9 targets here. As you can see, I'll use my Bane Flare, then I use the reset. They're gonna stay locked for 15 seconds, but in an instance they would be breaking at this point because of damage. You would then Bane Flare again, another 15 seconds or 7 seconds in a group. And as soon as they break free, let's pretend I just bank flared them. 7 seconds. They're gonna break free in a second here. I have my Stormlord ready. Boom. Really good AoE CC. Basically 14 seconds from Bane Flare and 5 seconds. So like 20 seconds where the mobs are just completely locked down. And for Minstrel, I just want to show the main idea behind DPSing on Minstrel currently. The main idea is to utilize your Piercing Cry reset as much as you can. Basically, you want to use a damage skill, Piercing Cry animation cancel, use your ballad to try to reset Piercing Cry, then use another skill, Piercing Cry, reset, over and over. I'm going to try to show this in action in on this boss 1. Basically, you use the skill, Piercing Cry, cancel the animation, use the ballad, try to get a reset. You can see I got a reset. Now you use another skill, animation cancel, reset again. Didn't get a reset. Oh well. Try again. You can see the main idea here. Eventually you run out of damaging skills. You then use your coda. Same thing. You want to try to like do the same thing. And if everything's on cooldown, if you're lucky, then coda will reset all the damaging skills. That's just the main basic idea behind Minstrel DPS currently. Utilize your Piercing Cry. My tip for Rune-Keeper today is going to be about the lightning procs. Now, you don't really have to be in yellow line to get these procs. I'm currently in red line, and I have this traded. It's Thunder's Words, Harsh Debate, and Closing Remarks. So these 3 is what you need to trade to get the maximum potential out of your procs. Basically, every lightning skill you use has a 20% chance to apply either Thunder's Words or Harsh Debate, and they last for 20 seconds. If they both proc at the same time, like they're active at the same time, they turn into Closing Remarks. And when you have Closing Remarks active, you can then use Epic Conclusion to turn the Closing Remarks buff into something called Aftershock. I'm going to show this in action. I use the plugin buff bars to track my lightning procs. I'm going to go ahead and do this. You can also look at the mob, but I'm going to start using my lightning skills. Eventually I'll proc something. I proc Harsh Debate, it's now active. I'm going to try to proc the other one to get the Closing Remarks. Harsh Debate reprocced, as you can see from my buff bars as well. Keep doing it for the 20% proc. Eventually I'm gonna, there we go, I have Closing Remarks, both buffs fused together for 20 seconds. And now the idea is to just use your skills, do your stuff, and towards the end of the Closing Remarks, that's when you use Epic Conclusion. You want to keep the Closing Remarks as long as you can. So towards the end of Closing Remarks, that's when you use Epic Conclusion. That will give you the Aftershock buff for 10 seconds. 1% tactical damage, 25% Fury of Storm critical hit chance. Obviously, these are more valuable for the yellow line, where you use a lot more Fury of Storm skills, but you do use them in red line as well. They will increase your DPS, tracking these debuffs and then proccing the Aftershock whenever your Closing Remarks is about to fall off. My Warden tip is going to be about battle memory and how battle memory works. Basically, battle memory allows you to save a gambit in this slot where the skill is called battle memory 1. And the way to put a gambit into battle memory is to use a potency gambit and then followed by the gambit you want to save. Potency gambit is either 1-1 deft strike, can be 2-2 defensive strike, or it can be 3-3 goad. So basically I can do a deft strike followed by unerring strike. This will save unerring strike in my battle memory. I can use this whenever I want, as long as I stay in combat, it's not going to go away. And one good use for the battle memory is you want to do corruptions really quickly. So basically what you want to do is do a potency, then you store your CR, which is reversal. See, it's stored in my battle memory. And then right before you're going to do the corruption spam, you do another potency. You build your reversal in your gambit builder. And basically what you're going to do now is battle memory, use gambit, battle memory. Like boom, boom, boom. 3 really quickly. So like this, and this again. And after that you can do the normal BR spam. That's one good use of battle memory, is for more corruptions and really fast corruptions. Of course you can save long gambits like Unring Strike if you want, but that's basically how battle memory works. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to help out the channel, leave a like, join my Discord, and I'll see you in the next one. If you're playing or looking to play Lord of the Rings online, there is one place you need to be. The Ghyniverse! The Ghyniverse is a community Discord server for the game Lord of the Rings Online. In this server you'll find anything from giveaways. There's also a frequently asked questions channel that I would recommend checking out first. You'll be able to see when I put out new YouTube videos, whenever I stream. You can also ask for the streamer role, and you'll be able to post your own streams in this server for everyone to see. There's currently over 5,000 members in this Discord, and it keeps growing. You will also find discussion channels about the game, LOTRO. You can ask any questions in the help channel. There's discussions for every single class in the game and PvP. But one of the best things about this server is the best in slot items section. In this section you can find trait lines for every single class. You will find screenshots of the current best gear being displayed. In this channel you'll find charts showing what stats you need for your characters, mitigations, mastery crit, finesse, but you'll also find useful information about drop rates in different instances. I hope you will consider joining my server, and maybe one day I'll see you in Middle Earth.